Welcome to Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Goldberg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today on this beautiful Thursday? Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, I hope you've had a fabulous day or are having a fabulous day. If you're in those hot areas, please hydrate. Please pay attention to what your body's telling you, because you can really hurt yourself, and we don't want that. Okay, well, thank you for that. So today our guest is Jerry Sargeant. Jerry is known as the Facilitator and is the founder of Star Magic Healing. He is a powerful healer, motivational speaker, international best-selling author, and renowned for transforming thousands of people's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual lives. His remarkable abilities enable him to access deep into people's energetic and holographic blueprint to facilitate their healing. Jerry's story is a remarkable one, as he was once a drug addict and a criminal working with some of the world's most wanted villains. It took a near-fatal car crash to set him on a life-changing path, and Jerry developed Star Magic, a potent healing modality deriving its power from merging the principles of quantum physics with subtle energies, active imagination, and laser-focused intent. Jerry produces verifiable effects, transforming the lives of others by balancing and facilitating the body's healing mechanisms using his frequencies. Welcome, Jerry.
Hey, Marla, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you. Okay, so you've got a very colorful background. I could say it that way, can't I? So you were involved with drugs and villains, and that's a big transformation from being on the dark side and moving into the light. So I know you had a near fatal car crash, because I just read that, but what is it that was really the catalyst that took you from the dark side to starting your spiritual path?
There were a number of catalysts. It was like a whole chain of events that kind of just kept kicking me up the butt and forcing me onto this journey until I surrendered. But there were a few that were really kind of sort of prolific. I suppose the first one was a car crash, which was in Romania back in 2006-ish. I was with my ex-wife and children, and I was in a taxi, and I was traveling from a place, Namts, in the north of Romania to Bucharest airport. It was early in the morning. It was still dark, sort of just getting daylight. And I woke up and there was a loud crash. There was glass and there was wind, taxis swaying from side to side. And I remember thinking to myself, we're in a bad accident. We're either going to hit the oncoming traffic or the car's going to flip. And then all of a sudden we came to a stop and there was no cars on the road. And I thought, this is weird. What's happened? I looked at the taxi driver. He looked petrified. I looked in the back. Alea, our daughter, was climbing out from underneath the driver's seat. And Laura had Josh in her arms. And there was blood dripping down my face. There was a hole in the windscreen. And I was like, what's going on, So anyway, I got out of the cab, looked about 30 meters up the road. There's two ladies lying on the side of the road. I look about another 100 or so, 150 meters up the road, and there was what looked like a dead body. And what happened, three ladies were crossing the road early in the morning on their way to work. And the first one got hit clean on. She came through the windscreen, hit me in the face whilst I was asleep, got flipped over the car and died. Second one had her ankles, both of them cut clean off. And the second one was physically okay. So a guy had come out from a nearby factory, and he was on the phone. I thought, well, he must have called the emergency services. I checked on Laura, and I walked past the lady with her ankles on the floor, and I was just focused on this lump up the road. And I got closer and closer, and I saw this lady's soul hovering above her body. I didn't know it was her soul. I'd heard of a soul, but I was just so closed off to spirituality at the time. And within 10 meters, I'm looking at this energy source, and then it slowly kind of fizzles off into the empty space. And by that time, I'm right over the lady looking down, and her legs are wrapped up over her head. And it was like someone had taken an old car to a scrap heap. Like whatever was in the body, it had no purpose to this physical thing anymore, and it had just gone. And I kind of witnessed this like firsthand, and this was a massive wake-up call. It was like the universe smacking around the face and, come on, Jerry, wake up. We're so much more than these physical bodies. We're atoms and molecules in continuous movement and space. I remember looking up to the heavens and thinking, I want a whiskey and a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't whiskey, but it felt like this momentous occasion, like it was time to celebrate. It was weird. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel, I don't know, any emotions that you might think you might feel in a situation like this. It just felt like I was really grateful to have been, put into this kind of experience. And this was definitely one of the major catalysts. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine what that was. And by that time, did you put your, let's say, darker aspirations on hold? Were you like, did you stop, playing
No,
with the villains, or were you still?
oh, that took ages. I resisted for so long because this opened me up to spirituality. And there were some other events as well that led me to my first teacher who worked for Scotland Yard. I had encounters with like shape-shifting reptilians, and many different things happened in my life. And I was having all these spiritual experiences, but at the same time doing what I was doing. And we ended up moving to New Zealand. Before I went to New Zealand, one thing that I was doing was stealing money from banks. And I was giving it to a charity anonymously. And what happened is that the person that I gave the money to was sending it to Africa, and they were building water pipelines and schools and different things. And, I felt like Robin Hood, like stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And like when the letters came back and they were telling me like what had happened, started to change me. Like I was a very egotistical man, and I just wanted watching and jewelry and fast cars and all those kind of material things that you think you want when you're younger that can make you happy when you're just completely asleep. So when I started doing this, it started to change me on a deep level. And then I was having all these spiritual experiences at the same time. Then we moved to New Zealand, and more spiritual experiences happened. We opened a health and fitness center, and through that we were helping more people and doing more charity work. And then we moved back from New Zealand in 2013. I took my daughter to the Philippines to work after the Typhoon Haiyan. And again, we took a big team and we put permaculture projects in place. We rebuilt villages and all this sort of stuff. So I got into this habit of kind of like giving back, and this with all of the spiritual experiences, meeting extraterrestrials and fairies and having these wild experiences, it kind of it pushed me down the road. And all the time I was kind of like resisting. Like my friends were like, Jerry's gone nuts. He's talking about extraterrestrials and spaceships and all this. What's happened to him? And so that kind of like judgment from friends and stuff was a big thing to get over. And people kept saying, Jerry, do you want to come and do this? Do you want to do that? You can make some money doing this. And for a while, I kept kind of succumbing to it because it was easy. But gradually, those periods of got longer between doing different things. And eventually, I kind of surrendered to this back in 2016. What actually happened is when I came back from New Zealand, I got arrested at the passport office for conspiracy to defraud the Bank of Scotland and holding a false passport back in 2007. And I was looking at quite a few years in prison. And a few interesting things happened around all of this. But when I went to court, I said to the universe, like, if I have to do this star magic thing, I didn't know it was going to be called star magic then, but if I have to do this healing thing, I said, you get me off this prison sentence, and I promise I will go wholeheartedly into this with everything that I've got. And when I went into court, I was stood in the dock, and the judge walked out. He was a man, and there were two ladies with him. And the one lady on the left-hand side of me, his right-hand side, she had wings on her back. And she looked at me and winked. And I was like, no way. I'm going to get off with this. And I kind of knew it from the start. And they gave their part of the evidence, like the police officers and all that sort of stuff. The prosecution made me out to be really bad, and then my solicitor gave our part of the story. They went out and deliberated, came back in. She winked at me again, and the judge said, "We can see you're a changed man, Mr. Sargeant. We're going to give you a 1-year conditional discharge and an £80 court fee." And I was like, yes. But there was no going back then, because I'd made this promise and this pact. So that was
Yes.
it. I went full force into it, and yeah.
So did you start studying with people to gain insights that brought to you what is now Star Magic? Or is this something that was downloaded and you were guided to put these modalities together to go? Because a lot of times, many healers, they take a lot of classes and then they keep what works for them and they get rid of the rest, and they end up molding their own modality. So how did you
Yeah.
get Star Magic?
Yeah, I've never actually taken a class like that, but I suppose I have kind of taken classes. I'll explain to you what I mean. Like, first of all, when I was in New Zealand, I was meditating in a friend's pyramid one day in his garden, and a little space pod landed, only way I can describe it, and there was a blue being inside of it. I brought my light out of my body, went and got in the spacecraft, and we flew through a tunnel for 4 or 5 seconds, came out the other side, and we were above water. There was a beach. I got out, walked up the beach, and there was about 200 blue beings. And I knew they were Lyrians, and I knew we were on Alpha Centauri. I don't know how I knew this stuff because I'd never heard of it, but I was just kind of downloading this data. And these beings hugged me. And when they hugged me, I'd never felt so much love in my life. I mean, I was rejected, like fostered, adopted as a kid, raped as a baby, like
Mm.
beaten by my first adoptive mother. So I always had this thing. I mean, I'd never loved myself. The first time I realized I didn't love myself was, I think it was about 2015, you know? So I was like 35 or something. I don't know, whatever I was then. But, you know, it was a lot of years back loving myself. And hugging these beings was my first kind of experience of what real love was. You know, I still didn't realize that I had never loved myself until after that. But at that point, you know, it was so beautiful. Like, I felt like I was home, and I just didn't want the embrace to ever end, you know. But they kind of let go of the embrace, and one of them led me up the beach and through a jungle, and we went through the trees and into this building made of light, and they introduced me to, the only way I can describe it, like an elder. Imagine a Native American reservation, they introduce you to an elder in a teepee. It was a little bit like that, this really ancient Lyran being. And I had to kneel down on the floor, and all of this orange light started pouring into my crown, and it was full of all of this like moving, weaving, spiralized code. And I was downloading this stuff for a little while. I don't know how long, because there's just no time and space, but it stopped at some point and picked me up underneath my armpits and marched me back to the space pod. They put me back inside, went back through the tunnel, back into the garden. And then nothing really happened after that. But when we moved back to England a few years later, I started seeing fairies out running. An angel told me to write a book. So I wrote the book called Into the Light. And then once I published the book, then I started seeing all this code in the empty space. And I was asking my guides, what am I supposed to do with this? They said, Jerry, you need to be in silence more. You need to meditate. And so anyway, I started getting up in the morning with my son, Josh. He was like 7, 8 at the time. And we would go into these ancient mystery schools, these classrooms underneath the pyramids in Egypt. And we'd get up and we would go through these tunnels, and I'd sit down and I'd look left and right, and there were loads of other human beings in there. That's what I mean. It was like we're in a real class. And we were sat at these like little old wooden desks like you get when you're a kid at school. And there was a man coming out, opening these scrolls, and on the scrolls were the same codes that I was seeing in the empty space and the same codes that I got in the orange download. We went every day for 2 hours for 9 months, and they showed us how to heal people with the codes. And then people started coming into my life that needed healing. I was like, let me just see if this stuff works. And it was working, and I kept trying, and it kept working. And I was still in an hour in. And my ex-wife, Laura, she was in the library one day, and the book fell off the shelf. And she picked it up, and it was called Joe the Diviner. And it was about this Irish healer that worked out of his back shed in his garden. And she gave it to me, and I read it in like a day or something. It was fascinating. And I thought, if this guy can do it, then I can definitely do it. You know, he's no different from me. He's a lad from the streets. So I got some cards made up just saying energy healing. and I had my book Into the Light. So I went to this local kind of mind, body, spirit festival. And I said to everybody, I'm giving away 3 free healings at the end of the weekend. Put your name down. If I draw your name out of the hat, then I'll give you a call. And about 70 or 80 people put their name down, and I phoned every single one of them and told them they won just so I could practice. So I had like 70 or 80 kind of guinea pigs. I was working on them for the next few weeks, and the results were amazing. So I phoned them all back up, and I was like, please, can I come around, bring my video camera, have a cup of tea, and get a testimonial from you? And a lot of them said yes. So I was driving around getting these testimonials, and then Star Magic was born. Yeah, that's how it all started.
That's a great story, and I love the name Star Magic, because you combined your quantum physics with what I mean. I read it, but remind me what was I reading? You mix quantum physics with.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that the way to find the truth is to mix, spirituality with quantum physics, like science with spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in this reality, that's why they try and keep the two so separate, because when you merge the two, all of the answers come out, and, you start to bring love into science, and magic starts to happen. So.
Yeah, and you bring love into life, and magic starts to happen, because like you felt like you didn't know what self-love was like, you didn't know what love felt like, and all of a sudden you had that experience, and now you know what it's like. And love is so transformational in every aspect of one's life. So that is huge. It's just working with the whole love
Yeah.
aspect.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the major catalyst, isn't it, for pretty much everything,
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you on that. So true. So let's talk about how the healing works. How does your healing work with just your clients? I know everything is different, like a fingerprint, based on what their needs are, but your modality, how does that actually work?
Well, if you look at anything physical and you go beyond that physical essence, whether it's a human or a bird or a laptop or whatever it is, a tree, you're going to find computer code, you're going to find mathematics, patterns, code. And we as humans are like computer systems. We're like biological computers. We've got a body and a brain. And the body and brain, the cells within the body, are constantly 24/7, 365 downloading information from the internet. The internet is the quantum field. It's also downloading information from hard drives and USB sticks, which you could liken to past lives, future lives, present day life experiences. So if someone has an injury, illness, disease, or wants to shift a business or a relationship or whatever it is, there's going to be some kind of trauma somewhere in the internet, in the quantum field, that is running a piece of code into their biological computer, which is creating a physical symptom, whether that's cancer, eyesight issues, whether it's, a bad relationship, whatever. So what we do is we go into the quantum, find that traumatic experience, and look at it on a level of kind of code and information and change it. So it might be a soul fragment that is off having a negative experience. It could be a timeline that needs to be changed, shifted, collapsed. So we'll go and do that. And then it changes the information stream flowing into the biological computer. And then the physical starts to manifest, whether that's, a tumor that decreases, whether it's trigeminal neuralgia that starts to dissolve and disappear, whether it's a relationship that gets back on track or completely dissolve, separate, it just depends. The other thing we do as well is we create codes. So we create codes out of the fabric of space-time. So we've got a whole range of different codes for different things. I mean, I'll give you an example. We were in India a couple of years back, and I asked a lady I asked anyone in the audience if they had any bone issues, and the lady said, "Oh, I got punched in the face by my husband 20 years ago, and I've got a broken cheek. It's dented, and I've been for facial reconstruction surgery, and no one can fix it." So I got her up to the front. I did a little demonstration, went into a past life experience, and we shifted it, and then I got a code. We have all these imaginary USB sticks with codes loaded into them quantumly. I stuck it into the top of her pineal gland, downloaded it into a biological computer. She fell down to the floor. I caught her, lowered her down gently. She had this download of frequency. When she stood back up, her face was completely straightened. which is mind blowing, but light is intelligent, and when you start to allow your heart to lead and to guide, and you start to plug into different frequency streams, and you just trust the process, and you actually get yourself out of the way, because a lot of people that try and heal, they're in the way. And like what I always say is, like, I'm not really a healer, I'm a facilitator, because I just set the whole space up so the human being themselves can self-heal. So that's all it is. We're just playing around with frequency, and the frequency is intelligent and knows what's best.
I so agree with you on being the facilitator. I call myself a conduit, but it's the same thing, because basically you're just doing what you're guided to do through your high self based on what the other person's high self is saying it needs. That's how I look upon what you just said. But it's different words, but I believe the same meaning, which is it's powerful. It's powerful in healing
Absolutely.
people and helping people. So, what is your main message to the world?
My main message to the world is, like, you are powerful. Like every single human being, like, has so much potential locked inside of them, and I just want everybody to experience that. I'm always striving to reach the next level, and I'm never satisfied. And I know every human being, every soul on this planet has more levels that they can move into, more potential, more opportunity, more power, more energy. And I just want everybody to step into and harness that power. And through Star Magic, we're not teaching anyone anything. We're just helping them remember this power. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a shaman. I'm just a guy from the street who's remembered this, and I just want to help everybody else remember. If I can do it, anyone can. That's the thing. Like, this stuff is so easy. It's like kids play. Like, it's not complicated at all. You just have to kind of, like, allow yourself to be like a little kid and play with this energy, and not get too, caught up in your mind. You got to kind of be in the heart and follow the heart, the life compass, and just be like a little kid with this magic around you, like being at Hogwarts or something, and everything just starts to happen. It's beautiful.
It's wonderful. It's about wonder and curiosity, in my opinion, because when people open up to wondering, so when you wonder about something, you research it, you start doing a dive into it. And, and curiosity, it's what our children, they're curious, they're sponges, they want to learn about everything. And it just helps to support what they're trying to achieve, in my opinion. And even when it comes to working with a healer, because I believe that it's a partnership, you're doing your part, the client is doing their part to achieve a mutually successful objective, which is the healing. Do
Absolutely.
you feel the
Everybody's got,
same way?
yeah, 100%. And also, like, to even add on to that again, like, every time you go in to facilitate the healing of someone else, you're also facilitating your own healing. So it's always a two-way process. I mean, the amount of times I'm there talking to someone, giving them some advice, and thinking, yeah, Jerry, you need to listen to this too. Like, so many times, like, everything you do for someone else is always a reciprocation of what you need yourself to. So we're always just, it's this symbiotic relationship in the most incredible, it's a network of just information flowing backwards and forwards, light codes. And we're always working with each other, helping each other elevate, expand, downloading into each other, from each other, up to the stars, from the stars down into the Earth's grids. It's just energy flowing everywhere. And we're like a great big organism. That's the way I see it,
And we are. I agree. And when you think about how vast the universe is and how teeny weeny weeny we are like that little organism. So it,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's fabulous. So, Star Magic, what are you hoping to accomplish on the world stage with Star Magic, and how do you plan on doing this?
Yeah, so when we started Star Magic back in 2016, shortly afterwards, the same blue being, whose name is Derek, came to see me again whilst I was meditating on a hill, looking out over my local town. And I'm sat there meditating. He comes and sits next to me, and all of the town disappeared. And I saw the Christ consciousness grid of the planet, and there was all these little dots around the outside. There was 13 of them, And I said, what are those? And he said, they're healing centers, got to build them. So I was like, okay, well, build them. Who's going to work in them? Do all that. He said, well, you need to train people. So I ran home, just like when I wrote Into the Light, I ran home, I designed this training program. I also wrote the book, Healing with Light Frequencies, put the training program online for the following February 2017. And people came from all over the world, you know, from Australia, from New Zealand, from America, Canada, all over Europe. And I remember being at the front of the classroom thinking, what are you guys doing here? Like, you know, this is nuts, you know? And that was our first training. And now we've trained thousands of people in over 40 countries. We're in the process of building our first healing center. We're working with the architects. All of the externals are designed. We're working on the internals at the moment. Should be finished in the next couple of months. We'll be going out to different companies, come back with prices. You know, in the next sort of 6 to 12 months, we'll be breaking ground on a 15-acre site that will house 100 students at any one time. It's a fully equipped facility being built out of geometry. It's unreal. We've bought 49 acres in Madeira to build another one. We've just bought some land in the UK to build another one. So like everything's just unfolding and happening. So the mission is to build these 13 centers spread around the Christ conscious grid of the planet, all on very specific like grid points, to harness these beautiful off-planet frequencies, bring them safely and effectively down to Earth so we can expand consciousness and accelerate this tsunami of love that can just flow through the Earth and just wake everybody up and bring about this, you know, new age of being on the planet where the systems dissolve and we create these, you know, create freedom and sovereignty and love and unity. And this is really what it's all about. And within that, empowering everybody to come together as a collective and step up and unify and work together as a human family.
I love that. And I think those that want to wake up will hear the call. And those who are fearful or have no interest in waking up, well, they'll do a different something or other. Yeah, a different path and go from that. So how do you maintain the discipline that you keep in your life? Because you've got to be a little disciplined to be able to have your fingers in so many pots. So how do you maintain yours?
Yeah. I mean, ever since I was a kid, really, I mean, I've always like, if I'm like a dog with a bone, like if I find something out or I get into something, there's no ground with me. I'm just all, which has been great at some points in my life and destructive at other points in my life. But with this mission, I find it really easy because I wake up every day, you know, I do my exercise, my qigong, my breath work, my cold showers, I go boxing. I'm doing all the things that can keep me in a high vibration. I eat clean, I fast every day for 18 hours. You know, everything that goes into my body is like fuel. Like there's no crap that goes into my body. You know, I've got a lifestyle. I mean, Star Magic is a lifestyle, and I'm just living, breathing, eating this lifestyle. And all I want to do really is just, you know, wake everyone up and help everyone step into their power. So it fuels me every day. And when people get in and they, you know, with different healing experiences and amazing kind of shifts, it's like energy, it's like fuel, and you never want to stop. You just want to keep accelerating and expanding and finding other ways to be innovative and to help more people. You know, it's just I'm on like this kind of like train, and I can't get off of it. Not that I want to get off of it, but I just want to drive the train faster. You know, and then help people.
I do know. So let me ask you, because of all the things that you do to stay clean and stay on your track, the people who come to train with you, do you put them on the same track of clean eating and the things that you do for yourself? Do you teach them to do that for themselves and tell them the importance of the reason you're having them do this? Or when they train with you, they're sort of on their own for eating and other things, and they just get the healing education?
Well, both. I mean, the very first slide of our level 1 training is all about, you know, looking after yourself, you know, and how are you going to run your life? You know, you need to have your teacup full up and overflowing and into the saucer and give from your saucer. So to do that, you need to maintain some form of discipline, and you need to work on yourself every single day. You come before your clients, you come before your family, you come before everything. Because if you're not tip top and vibrating at a high frequency, you're not going to be of best service to the planet. So you are the most important human being in the world. You're the most important soul in the multiverse. And it's important that you focus on you. So we do encourage everybody to utilize this as a lifestyle. On the flip side of the coin, if people don't go down that road, there's nothing we can do. Everybody's got free choice, right?
Of
But
course.
we have an academy, and so we're taking people through the academy to work in the healing centers. And if you come through the academy, you're going to have to live this lifestyle. Otherwise, you're not going to cut it. We before COVID, we were traveling extensively, and I've had several different people travel with me. Where it's early mornings to late at night, or on and off of planes, different countries all the time, and it takes its toll. And if you're not disciplined in looking after your body, mind, heart, soul, then it's going to take its toll. And we've had people that have just collapsed in the middle of trainings, not been able to take it, because they're not looking after themselves. So now I don't take anybody into the academy unless they've got a high vibrational lifestyle and they're completely looking after themselves 24/7, 365. Otherwise, it's detrimental to the students and the people that come in for training. We've got to be able to give them a great service. And if the people around me aren't 110%, then it's no good. So we encourage it with everybody, but not everybody does it. But those that are in the academy, everybody's on this lifestyle.
Nice. That's really nice. So how many people, no, I'm changing this question. When do you have it scheduled of when you're doing your, what do you call it, beginners training? Is it on your website?
Yeah, already this year we've done, I think, 3 level 1 trainings, 1 level 2. We've got our first level 3 training starting this Saturday. Then we've got another level 1 training coming up after. It's all on the website. Then we've got level 1 with our Asian community. We've got a big community in China and Taiwan. That's coming up in September. We've got Romania level 1 training in September. And then October, we're back in the UK, which is our first UK in-person training since COVID. So everybody's kind of really excited about that, like getting in and having a hug instead of being online, And then we're coming back to the States for the end of October and all of November. We're running 3 workshops, a training. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Where in the States will you be?
We'll be in California. Yeah.
For the whole thing?
California, yeah.
Northern, Southern?
Both. Yeah,
Nice.
both. Yeah.
Very nice. So, I'm sorry, I was just trying to see where we are. Is there anything that's going on that you want to tell the people about, that you want to promote? I know we were talking about the classes. Is there anything else are you coming up with another book? Is there something happening right now that you want to share?
There's always things that are going on. My new book, How to Be Superhuman, the Ultimate 5D Toolkit, is coming out in August. Really looking forward to that. That's like a 500-page book. It's a workbook, so many tools. It's just it's everything you really need, really. It's kind of like a Bible. There's nothing else in there that you would need to, really be the ultimate superhuman. So that's coming out. What else? We've got our level 1 training coming up in 2 weeks in July. We're going to be in America in the fall. We'll be in the Conscious Life Expo in LA next February. We've got 2 ayahuasca retreats coming up at the end of the year. We do plant medicine retreats too. We've got a healing center in Transylvania, which we should break ground on next year. There's so many things. If you come to our website, starmagichealing.com, you can get free access for 7 days to all of our tools. So we've got something called Infinity. And within Infinity, you've got hundreds of guided meditations, light language transmissions, light codes, cosmic yoga videos, hundreds of recipes for high vibration nutrition. There are loads of masterclass replays and more masterclasses coming up. There's a Telegram community. There's all sorts going on, and loads more stuff too within that. So you get free access for 7 days. Go and check it all out. And come on a weekly meditation, feel the frequency, do some meditations, engage with the tribe, see what you think. And if you've got any questions, we've got what we call star buddies. And you can reach out to a star buddy and they will jump on a call with you and talk to you about everything that's going on and help you navigate Infinity and point you in the right direction and give you some tools that will fit into your life to be tailor-made with your personal needs and requirements. So yeah, there's loads of stuff going on. I mean, just go
Yeah.
to the website, starmagichealing.com, and check it out, I suppose.
StarMagicHealing.com. Perfect. So Debbie is asking, what are life codes?
You mean light codes?
Oh, I guess it's light codes.
Yeah,
It
light
says
codes.
life, but I'm going to assume it's life. A light as
Yes.
well.
So light codes are like mathematics. You know, if you go to our website, you'll see hundreds of them. And it's like a picture. And that picture, that pattern has very specific frequencies embedded within the code. And you can stare at the code and it will start to alter you on a DNA level. Now, all the codes do different things. You might have a code for releasing grief, a code for activating your pineal gland, a code for releasing fear-based trauma from your kidneys. Like all of the codes have different purposes. So you just stare at them and they do things to you on a really deep and potent level. What it does, it bypasses the logic. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, for years have been to psychologists, okay, and they've talked about their problems. Now you can stare at a light code and that will bypass all of that rubbish and just start to download new frequencies, which will shift all of that stuff that, you know, a year or 2 years worth of psychological coaching would have taken. You know, it just speeds everything up. It's fast, it's efficient, and it should be, because we are light, we are frequency, we are information. Things shouldn't take forever. Things should be easy.
So, I mean, is it something you look at once, twice, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or is it just what resonates, or how much time you have to spend doing it?
So each of the light codes that we have come with a light language transmission. So it's like a harmonic vibrational recording, which is attuned specifically to that particular light code. So you stare at the light code and you listen auditorily. Some of them are 5 minutes, some of them are 8 minutes. They're short. You know, the longest is probably 9 or 10 minutes, and the shortest is probably 3 minutes. You know, and you just listen and stare at it, sometimes once. Other ones you might need to listen to for 9 days in a row or 4 days in a row, but all the instructions are on the website. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think it sounds like something that the free 7 days gives people the ability to put their toe in the water and see what this is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just come and dig in and get stuck right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a little bit early, but it's charity shout out time because I want to go into talking about your foundation, which is Star Magic Foundation. How
Yeah.
long have you had started this and you created it, started it? How long ago, and who does it serve?
Yeah, so it kind of started when I was telling you earlier. I mean, I suppose that was the catalyst when we were getting the money from the banks and giving it to the charities in Africa. You know, that's what started the kind of like wanting to give back. And, you know, we did that for several years. And then there was the Philippines, where we rebuilt the local villages and permaculture projects. And we did other things there too. Then we went to Cambodia. We did some human trafficking stuff. Again, we did some stuff with
Mm.
schools and different things. At the moment, what we're doing is we're taking money that we earn through Star Magic and we're giving it to another charity actually at the moment, which is on our website. It's in Africa again, and what we're doing is we're buying like supplies for children for their schools, you know, so they can do art and different things. And at the moment, we're just looking for the next kind of venture. Hopefully, we'll do it in the next sort of 6 months. Now things are opening back up again. The last thing we did was Cambodia 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, just before COVID hit. And then obviously the COVID hit, and then we've not been anywhere since. So we're in the process at the moment of looking, what are we going to do next? Like, we try and do something once a year, but what we try and do is not give the money to the charity. We go to the location with a team and a bag of cash and actually buy all the local supplies and then go there and actually work ourselves. When I was in the Philippines, like back 2013, 2014, whenever it was, with Alea, my daughter, you know, we went there and we went with a team from Singapore who do a lot of charity work. Really, really cool bunch of guys. And yeah, we were enabled to kind of sort of tag along with them, and they were showing us like what a lot of these big charities do. They get a lot of money, they spend it on themselves, and they don't really do too much for the local people. So we
Yes.
decided, let's get the money, go there ourselves. And as part of our academy for our facilitators, they have to come and give up some of their time for humanitarian work if they want to come in the academy. So yeah, that's kind of how we do things. The other thing that we're going to be doing soon through the foundation is actually putting money into a pot for people that want to come on our trainings that can't afford it.
Nice.
So when the first healing center opens, we've got like I think it's a 20% allocation per training for free. So people that want to come, on the training, like, let's say there's 100 seats, 20 of those will be given up for free, for people around the world that deserve to come on the training, that want to come on the training, but haven't got the resources to travel, to pay for the classes or whatever. So yeah, the other thing we do through the foundation is we give away free healing, like every week, every month. We're always giving it. I mean, because so many people need it and haven't got the money. So I think it's important to get that balance. Some people can afford it, take the money, and if they can't, then we've got resources to give back to those that haven't. So there's a number of things we're doing through the foundation, but primarily it's trying to give back to people around the world. And for me personally, like, I've got a real soft spot for children.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many children out there that suffer and they don't need to. We're living on a planet where, there's enough resources for everyone to be fed, watered, clothed, and housed forever, and the whole world's messed up and out of balance. So, the other reason we're building the healing centers is obviously to bring people through for training and to heal them and that sort of thing. But we want them as a foundation for the children. Okay, because there are so many beautiful, intelligent, incredible, phenomenal kids coming to the planet at the moment with galactic abilities.
Yes.
And when they go into some of these mainstream schools, they get ostracized. In the UK, I don't know what it's like in America. In the UK, some of these children get pulled out of school. They get sent to these crazy homes where they will be demonized, put on drugs, and sent back to their parents many, many years later, completely shadows of their former self. So, and that's because they're kind of emanating and showing like really supersonic Einstein abilities, and so they're kind of a threat to society. So I want our healing centers to be a place where the children can come and be totally sovereign and free, and we'll give them the sacred space to actually explore themselves and the universe and to show us what they came here to show us. And I feel that in the not too distant future, we, the adults, are going to be sat in the chairs and the children are going to be at the front of the classrooms, and they're going to be teaching us. They're going to be helping us remember what we've forgotten because they know more. These new children that are coming down, they're so advanced. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. The children are amazing. And I just am a firm believer of supporting what your child is experiencing instead of telling them that there's no such thing or they're crazy or, things that adults tend to do to children to squash their creativity, their abilities, whatever it might be, their visions, by
yeah,
saying it's not true. And how beautiful to have a place where you can support that and allow them to stay open, continue to remember instead of shutting them down so that they're, just lemmings to their authority figures.
absolutely. I mean, I pulled our two children out of school when they were 11 and 10, 12 and 10, or 11 and 9, because when we moved back from New Zealand to England, I was at the school every day, every other day, because my children were saying to the teachers, "We're not going to listen to that. It's not right," And then they said, "Well, you're in detention." And my son would say, "I'm not going in detention. You can't make me." And so anyway, it just became like really destructive. So I pulled them out of school, and I made a pact, and the pact was like, "I'm going to let you do what you want." And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done, because they my children, like, once you say something like that to them, like, they'll just pull you up on it all the time. And, "Dad, you told us we could do whatever we wanted." And I went through a couple of years of like really finding it difficult. Because my wife left, I was looking after the children on my own, building Star Magic. They were traveling with me. They're on their phones playing computer games, like doing all the things that I wish they didn't. But I vouched that they could just work it out themselves. And in the end, they did. and it was the best thing that ever happened in the end. But I had to go through hell to get there. And I really, really firmly feel that children are like flowers, you know. We should water them,
Yeah.
love them, shine on them as much as we can, and then let them just kind of figure it out. And it's not easy, but if you're strong enough to kind of like let them do that, they do turn out. It turns out well.
It's true. How old are they now?
20 and 17.
Okay. So
Yeah.
big difference from back then when you told them they can do anything they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were homeschooling them as well?
Well, now, I mean, my daughter, she's into horses. She's got her own horse. She's kind of working with horses. She's written 4 children's books, like spiritual books. My son, he's kind of different. I mean, he's been to all of our trainings. You know, he's out there kind of working on his healing. He's into boxing and training and physical exercise. And, they're just trying to still, I mean, my daughter's kind of got it figured out. He's still trying to figure it out, but, they're just beautiful humans. And, I always go to them for advice over anyone else. Like they're like so wise, and yeah, just my greatest teachers.
Well, it's not a surprise that you brought in some old souls to support you as they grow up under your environment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, how lucky are you? Is there anything that I have not asked you that you want to share with the listening audience?
Oh man, I mean, I would just say I love you all, and like just follow your heart and just go for it. Wherever your heart is leading you, don't think, just literally jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down, and know that you have the tools inside of you to overcome any challenge. And there is magic in you. Jump off that cliff and you'll find it on the way down. But if you stand on the side of that cliff looking, you're never going to grow your wings. You got to throw yourself into life. Yeah, and it will support you. It'll beat you up a little bit, but it will support you in the long run, because we've got to learn and grow, so it's never easy, but in the long run, if you trust, it will all work out okay.
So if people come to you, especially younger people, and they say, I've had a horrible upbringing, challenging, you've had a challenging upbringing, I know I have. What would you say to them to put them on the right track? Yeah, I mean, I know you just said about finding your magic, but kids are a little bit different. Sometimes kids need a little more concrete guidance in terms of the path of spirituality.
Yeah, it would really depend on the child and what they've been through. Some children, you need to kind of take that softly, loving, nurturing approach and really kind of hold the space for them. Let them pour their heart out before you can go anywhere. And depending on what comes out of their heart when you kind of listen, will really kind of govern where you take them. There are other children that come in and you really need to sort yourself out, and you need to give them a bit of a kick up the butt, and that works for some. But it's horses for courses. It's a hard question to answer. There is no one definitive answer for that. I would take it on a case by case basis. Ultimately, I'd want to guide all of them into this kind of process where they were in control of everything that they did and making really important choices that would benefit themselves and humanity, and follow this kind of lifestyle, and put the effort into themselves, and also to try and guide them into a space where they don't bow down to any authority figures. They realize that they're the power and they can make up their own rules and regulations and decide what's best for them in their life. They don't need to listen to their parents, school teachers, even me, anybody. They just need to make up their own rules and decide how to go about it. All we can do is kind of offer them suggestions and empower them, with the knowledge that they have everything inside of themselves, and to encourage them to journey into their heart too.
I love that. Yeah. That's great. In your academy, are you going to ever put a division for children ages, and I don't know what age you'd start with, but let's say 5 through 16? Because
even the training the way it is at the moment, I mean, we've taken children in from 8 years old. They've come in with the adults. They're amazing. Children are the best. Yes. You were saying earlier about curiosity.
Yes.
Like children are the best healers because they're curious. And when they see something in the quantum field, they're not logical about it. They're like, wow, look at that. Like, how can I use this to create healing? And they're just really into it. A lot of adults have preconceived ideas, so it's different. But in answer to your question, I mean, we've been talking about it for about a year now, about building a training program for children a lot younger, maybe from 4 or 5 years old through to about 10, and like have it as a kind of a witchery, Harry Potter style kind of like Hogwarts kind of, training program. And we will do that. We will do that. I think once the healing center's up and running, we're going to create some space for that and bring the children in, and they can come with their parents, they can come on their own. And yeah, the parents can stay on site whilst the children go through the training. And yeah, I think it'd be really, really cool because children need this. They need this really open, fun, pure magic space where no one's going to judge them and they can literally be who they want to be, who they are,
See, I love that. I think that, giving children a platform to be themselves, to understand and learn that what they're seeing, what they're experiencing is not unusual. It's just that they're remembering sooner than, I'll say, someone like me who is a late bloomer in remembering. And then to find out how many past lives I was a healer in.
Yeah.
And, and these children have been, they're going to come down and they're going to be in these places. And it's just nice. I was with somebody yesterday and she was telling me how when she communicates with those on the other side of the veil, and she's been doing it since childhood, and how she was really abused because of what she was able to do, to the point where she stopped talking about it and, just wanted to be in the path of least resistance for her protection. And now she wants to find ways to give back. And children come in with these abilities, you use the word magic, which I love, the magic of remembering and with full awareness, and to work with people, because they're the ones who are really going to take over. When they say children are our future, they truly are,
Absolutely.
because they're the ones who, when you transition, will be running your facility, because it's not going to die with you. It will continue. What a beautiful gift to humanity and to the world, Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I hope you give yourself hugs of gratitude for giving back this way, because it's really special. And not everybody talks about the whole of humanity, which you've been talking about in this, which I am loving thoroughly in this conversation. So
Yeah, well, we are a family, that's it, and we have to support each other.
we are, and we're all connected. I mean, that's what the network is. We're a grid, and we're all attached to, we are many, we are one. Or we are one, we are many, however it goes, but we are. And, as much as we're individualized, we're also connected in the grid fashion. So
Absolutely.
when it happens to one, it happens to all of us in one capacity or another.
Sure does.
So I so appreciate your time and everything else. And I just want to see if there's any questions I've missed asking you. Okay. What message do you have for parents bringing up their children today?
Yeah, I mean, I would come back to what I've already kind of shared, and a lot of people would struggle and not agree, but let them do what they want to do. Support every action, support every movement, and let them go on this journey of discovery, like external and internal discovery.
So, Jerry, I do have a quick question about that, because there are some children who really test the boundaries of not only their parents, but their whole environment, and maybe they start a fire, or they hurt an animal, whether it's intentional, unintentional. How would you deal with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you should say that about a fire. I came home, not it was about 3 properties ago, like 4 years ago, something like that. We were living in this house. which was like an end terraced house in the UK, in like in a place where it's quite built up. And I've come home and it's dark. It's like winter time. It's the evening, and there's this. I can just see smoke everywhere, and there's like a roaring fire in our backyard. I mean, it's only a very small backyard. There's hardly any grass. It's concrete. And my son and his friends, they'd made this fire right outside the patio doors. It's right up lit up. There's fire engines. Like it's just gone right out of proportion, So yeah, I mean, I just came home. Everybody was okay. I mean, what can you do apart from say, guys, this wasn't a great idea. Like, I'm not going to shout and scream and tell them off. I'm just going to just say to them, listen, you could have died. You could have burnt yourself, and if you did, I would have had to just deal with that and flow with that. And so would have your sister, and so would have your friends' parents, etc., etc. And I give them a few words of wisdom and let them carry on. They didn't do it again. If I'd have probably shouted and screamed and gone mental, they might have thought, right, we'll go and do it again in secret somewhere else. But, my son has tested me big time over the last few years. I mean, there's many other things I could reel off, but yeah, there's been some interesting situations, I mean, even going back a couple of years, I was really busy, and I went through this little phase where I didn't give enough attention to the children, and he was sneaking out at nighttime, and he was hanging around with some really unsavory characters. Where we lived is like 2.5 hours from London. He was jumping in cars with some older guys and going down to London and buying things that he shouldn't have been buying. And I found out about this a little bit later when there was a huge kind of wad of cash lying around. I was like, where did this come from? So again, there's no point me kind of shouting and screaming. I've got to just say, listen, I've been down this road, son, and I tell you what, it's not pretty. And I'm quite lucky to have not been to prison, actually be alive from some of the kind of like incidences that I've been in my life, and just come at it from that kind of like standpoint, like you are going to be challenged by these children. And the best thing you can do is to just guide them and be a role model. You got to lead by example. That's the best thing. Like sometimes you're there and you're leading by example and you think they're not taking a blind bit of notice, but I guarantee you they are. And if you stick to your guns and you keep being a shining example, they're picking up on all these little bits. And even if they go off and do their own mischief and their own madness, they'll keep coming back to those staples. It will work out. It's not easy, but you got to trust.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you for being on the show, sharing your wisdom, sharing about star magic, and your whole journey. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I want to take a moment and thank Bridget, my assistant, right hand, left hand. Don't know what I'd do without you. Thank you. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life to participate in this show, whether it's live or on your listening platform. We do this so that you can learn about amazing people like Jerry and what Jerry does. And that's why I have the show that I have, so that we can give you ways to expand on your spiritual journey, on your path. So thank you. I want to say that I will be back at the Bag Lady at 1516 East 4th Street in Charlotte, North Carolina on Friday, the 24th of June. And I look forward to you stopping by and saying hello. If you like the show, subscribe to it. Like it so you don't miss one exciting episode of upcoming amazing guests. And as always, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Grateful that you're in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. For not only are you my student, you are my teacher. Not only am I your teacher, I am your student. And if you haven't heard these words today, let me say them to you. I love you. You are loved. You are never alone. And if you need support, if you need help, if you need guidance, if you find yourself not knowing which way to turn, ask your beings on the other side of the veil, because they're there waiting for you to ask for their help so they can conspire on your behalf. So until next week, stay well and have a great week. Take care now.